Good morning, everyone. I'm just hanging out here and letting some more of you guys come on before I start. Um, but I will start talking about, the topic that hit me this morning is channeling energy. And, I see for myself that I am an open channel. I channel, my higher avatar self, which I've shared with a lot of you. And the thing is that when we have such an open channel, and even if you don't realize you have an open channel, we're all a channel, and we are guided through, a host of entities or spirits or souls or whatever you want to call it. But we also channel the energy of others around us. We also channel the energy, of those traveling through the channel. And since I've been activated and now I've got this channeling thing going on, there are times when I have moments of extreme bliss. Everything feels so magical. The energy, I feel some sort of energy movement in my vessel all day and night. It doesn't stop anymore. So finding balanced ground, even if you're not tuned in or activated, or you're not feeling a lot of energy all the time in your body, we feel the energy in our human vessel most time through thought. Not the thoughts that we're thinking, but when we're just sitting there doing something and things are popping up in our mind, those thoughts are coming from somewhere. You're not necessarily thinking it yourself. So there's a whole host of thoughts that we can receive, and energy. And if we've got something going on within our own psyche that we haven't dealt with, and then an energy shift happens, well, the first thing it's going to do a lot of the time in the human vessel is this, bam, it's going to push whatever in your psyche that needs to be dealt with. It's going to come up. That's why this is called an ascension. It's an ascension process of transcendence of our old ways of thinking and being and doing. And so, like, for instance, this morning, I felt really great. And then all of a sudden I felt like, literally, it felt like an energy lightning bolt, but it was like in the solar plexus, and it just like hit me all of a sudden, and it didn't feel good. And it gave me a feeling of what humans call anxiety, which is, it gave me a rush to the solar plexus, which is where we receive the emotions of others. So if you feel something boom in your gut, it's not necessarily your feeling. It's an energy that comes in that causes the human to place mental attachment to it, because we don't realize that that's what's happening. So this morning it hit me so hard, and I instantly just felt like I couldn't focus on what I was doing. I kind of felt like, I was starting to get a little bit of anxiety. And of course, my mind then starts to fish for something to grab onto, to bring in, to justify that feeling. Like, that is how the human mind can really affect our flow in a not great way when we're not in tune with what's going on. And that means within our own minds. Like, yeah, energetically, sure. But if we're not in tune with our own thought processes, then we are a mess. Like, literally. And I speak from a lot of experience. So since I have been activated, there we go. And so since I have activated, within all of this energetic stuff that's going on, I've really, my program has been written to, I don't have the attachment to my human emotion, my human thought processes like I used to. So I don't attach. And when I do, like this morning, I grab it instantly, and I become the master of that anxiety feeling, because I know that that is not me, even though it's me thinking it. And it may bring, an energy surge of some sort, may bring up, like I was saying, something in our psyche for us to hold on to for a second to take a look. And what I call, I'm stumbling this morning. Release and allow. Like when we embrace a feeling that doesn't feel good, that means that we can get within it to really look at it and feel and see what it is, because everything has a way of teaching. So this morning, that sensation that I felt, and that I then, had a human emotion attached to it, it didn't feel good to me. So I grabbed it, I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, that's not my thought process. Those are the things that I'm not anymore. Because even though we get to this amazing meditative state of mind, we get to this amazing meditative place of being at such quiet peace, it doesn't stay that way. Like, the perfection is being able to shift within the energy that we feel. And especially if we're out around a bunch of people, and I hear a lot of people say, oh, I get anxious, or I get a lot of anxiety when I go into crowds. Well, you're not anxious. Like, there's nothing fearful about being in a crowd. It's just that when you're really in tune with picking up the energetic vibes of those around you, it can seem like something personal even when it's not. Like, I know for me, since I've really been activated, and I have become much more sensitive to energy, I've become a little bit more sensitive when I go out. So it's been a balance for me over the last 2 years to feel comfortable really being out in crowds. And sometimes I don't, and it's just depending on how my energy feels. But I don't attach to that feeling of going, oh my God, I can't be around a crowd of people. It gives me so much anxiety. Like, I just recognize, like, ooh, okay, I can't ground the energy. I need to dip out for a little bit, or step away, go to the bathroom, ground the energy, because we are, the conduits of energy. So we receive it, but we also have the steering wheel. We're co-creators in this space, and we get to co-create with our energy, because our energy, our flow, determines our thought processes. It determines how we interact with other people, how we receive other people. Like, if you're always getting defensive at someone, meaning you always feel frustrated, or, you feel like maybe you're always having to defend yourself and things like that, that's part of the human old egoic ways of thinking. And so when we recognize that we don't have to defend ourselves against people, we don't have to explain ourselves to people, we don't have to do anything we don't want with people in this existence, then we get to let go of the humanistic attachment to those things. And we start to detach. We start to detach from holding on to things within our own psyche that doesn't feel good. Like, literally, like, we're so simple. Humans are so simple. The mind, the reprogramming of our thought processes is so easy. Like, if you want to learn how to manifest, learn how to rewire your thought processes to make you feel good. That's it. It's not about, oh, I wish I had a new car and $1 million in the bank, or I wish I could do this or that. Like, it's all about learning to control our thought processes. Like blaming other people for the things that we do, blaming other people for the things that they do. Like, dude, I mean, at some point, we have to realize that enough is enough, and let go of having to try to battle other humans. What I call mind boxing. Like, I'm not interested in mind boxing humans anymore, so I don't. And, it's my choice. If I feel like I want to debate my point with someone, then I will. It's just a matter of energy. Like, when we wake up in the morning, we only have a certain amount of energy that lasts throughout the day in the brain and in the body that gives us the mental capacity to flow properly. And then we start to get tired. The pineal gland produces melatonin. And melatonin is stimulated by a lot of things, sunlight and things like that. Well, when you wake up, the melatonin has worn off overnight. So you're awake and you feel good. Well, as the day goes on, that melatonin builds up. So when the sun goes down, we start to get tired, and that's what happens. So if you think about yourself as energetic beings, because that's what we are, and think about how much energy you have to spend. And that means for yourself, first of all. You are your own conduit. You are your own energy source to a degree. So first off, if you make your day about, okay, how much energy am I going to, or not even questioning, just be mindful of it. Like in the morning, think about how much energy, you have that in that moment. And so then you can kind of gauge yourself, like when the moon is coarse and void and we're not receiving a moon signal from whatever star system we're in, which are called the signs, the zodiac signs, they're really star systems. When we're not receiving a signal from the moon, which is the satellite, that sends those signals to us, there's a drop in neurotransmitters in the brain and in the body. The serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, all of those things are not firing as normal, so we don't feel as high, And so I call those days quiet days. And it's because I can feel my energy. I don't feel very talkative. I don't feel very open to people. I'm not sad, but I just kind of feel like, meh, like those moments. Those are low brain wave moments. Like, there's some course in your flow or the planetary, system flow of that moment that is causing you to feel that way. Like when we step outside of the box of thinking that we're actually humans and that our thoughts and our feelings run us, we can step outside to see that they do, but not in the way that we thought. The sun and the moon influences everything that we do. And it all boils down to our thought processes. Like, that's why we create our own existence. Like, we're the co-creators. We are receiving a signal from different things that are happening that is beyond our control. But in this existence, we get to choose how we engage ourselves with others. And so if you're engaging yourself with others, and it doesn't feel good all the time, ask yourself why. Look in the mirror. Because if you're having conflict with everyone that you meet, then that means that there's something going on with you. Those people are just your reflection. And so when we recognize that, we can stop placing blame on other people and take responsibility for our own energy. I know. I moved out when I was 16 years old. I've always had to be, in control and, in charge of my life and take care of myself. And so learning to let go of just that alone, has been a thing for me because it creates, this defense mechanism. It's like a subconscious mind programming of always having to be on guard and alert and that is not the way that we flow. We can still have those amazing independent tendencies and be like, this powerhouse. I got a very strong personality, but I'm learning to be more my authentic self, which is a loving, gentle, non-combative human. Because that's not who I am, my soul, my astral. And so recognizing that I am, this collective energy being, then it helps to separate from the humanistic stuff, the worry, am I good enough? Are they going to accept me? Like, oh my gosh, like if that's the way that we're going to feel about ourselves, let's use it as a tool of, ooh, I like what he's got. I like what she's got. Like, let's team up and work together because, like I'm saying, like everything in this existence is all thought process. Everything is thought process. Everything. And so when the human goes, you know what? It really is what I make of it. I'm going to stop blaming and being mad at everyone else, including myself. And now I'm going to learn to love. Like, That's all it is. It's that simple. And then everything changes. Like everything we want, everything we need, everything we see within our channel begins to take place. It's like the magic starts. So, I talk about mind magic a lot. I talk about, being a mystic and all of those things now that I'm evolving into because that's who I am. That's who you are. That's who your mother and your brother and your sister and your aunt and your uncle, your best friend, your dog, your cat. That's who we all are. And so if someone isn't giving you the energy that you need, maybe you should try to give it to yourself first. Because I know that I ran around for most of my life looking for what I felt inside of myself, but I wasn't giving it to me. Therefore, I was not finding it authentically. And so when I was, I guess decided or activated as I call, it wasn't really me deciding, even though it was. I got activated and turned on many, many times throughout the stage of my life now that I see, to this quest that I'm here talking with you about now, is I see the synchronicities. I see the alignments. I'm connecting with people and things and humanity and myself in ways that I never knew existed. And it's because I decided to surrender. And it makes me emotional, it's like a soul pull because it's so beautiful. And I tear up because I know how amazing and easy it is, and I want it for all of you, you know. We all want each other to be happy. And being such a channel like I was talking about and feeling the energy of those around us, like I feel the pain of people and um I see it, I feel it, I breathe it like on a level that is just can't really put into words. And I know a lot of you are very, very sensitive to energy and, clairvoyance and psychic or whatever we want to call those terms. You know what I'm talking about. And even if you're not logged into, or tuned to that, and you have a heart and your mind is tuned into that space, you feel those things for other people too. I think that we have come to a place in humanity where we have detached from each other unknowingly. Like this has all happened in a programmed, subconscious way because this is part of our experience. And now we're being activated to come around full circle. And, for me, being open and loving and all this yummy stuff with other humans is not something I'm used to. Even expressing and being open to receiving love from other people and ourselves is a process. Like everyone thinks that, we just become happy and in love and then everything's just so wonderful. Like we really have to let go of the expectations of what we want for ourselves and the way that we think we're supposed to have it to a degree. I mean, when we really give ourselves the freedom of not judging others and not having these insane expectations, it really allows us to learn to love ourselves in a way that we never knew that we could. And that's really what's important because, I've discovered that, instead of trying to mind box other humans, as I call it, or trying to, preach the word of love or consciousness and mindfulness to people, it's so much easier since I have been shown just to express myself. And that that is the greatest teacher. Leading by example is how we become great leaders. We are influential. Humans are influential creatures because of the way our mind works, our subconscious mind. Like the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a feeling of a thought. The human does that. And so when we recognize that, our subconscious mind is so programmed that in ways that we don't even know. Like if you sit around and you're like talking poorly about other people to other people, or, things like that, like, what is that for? That's the thing. Or like, cause think about it. If you're an empath or you're tuned in or whatever you want to call it, and you're talking with someone that constantly talks down about themselves to you, it makes you really uncomfortable, right? Like, it's just like you want to like dive in, or you don't even know what to do, and it can make you feel anxiety. It can make you feel bad. You can get up and leave that conversation and 3 hours later be in the shower and start to think about all those things that person said. And then you start analyzing yourself, and then it becomes this like, so it's really important. And that happens. Like humans, we are so influential in ways that we don't even realize. The power of influence is a big thing. And so, what is your influence? Like, what is your power? Are you empowering yourself? Therefore, you're empowering others. Are you empowering others? Therefore, empowering yourself. What messages are you putting out? What frequency are you setting and projecting for yourself? Because what we put out into the ether comes back around in one way or the other, whether it's programmed now in the subconscious mind to like cause you to do something in a way that's not authentic to yourself later. Like seriously, like it seems complex, but it really is just about not thinking things that don't feel good, and certainly not projecting those things. Because I'll tell you this, being such an open channel now, there's a lot of energy that comes in and out of my vessel all day and night. And I think crazy things sometimes, like things that are not who I am, like really dark stuff, like dark. And I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, it's not me. Travelers come through, and we don't know what they leave behind. Or so for me, when I feel like this morning, I felt that energy come in and boom, it took me to that place. Like I was telling you, I immediately grabbed a hold of that frequency, and it took me a minute, but I held on to it like in my mind's eye on the outside, like pushing it out and pulling it out and grounding it and pushing it out of my feet. Like I visualized myself literally purging that energy out of my body. And I always say, I sage my heart with love and light. I sage my heart with love and light. I say that, it sounds silly or simple or whatever, but I'm telling you, like, the darker or lower vibrational entities or energies or whatever we want to call it cannot remain in the vessel when the human is aware that it's there. Just like your channel, your guides, your guardians, they're there assisting you. And when you give them the knowledge that you're aware that they're there, bing, that's when it like all starts, the magic. And so self-talking is a daily ritual for me. But listening is the magic. I only self-talk when I need to ground energy or I need to send love. But I don't get in there and do this worry swirl thing because I am on a higher mission now. I decided to let go of that humanistic, prison that we put ourselves in our minds, because the astral magic that's going on, this higher purpose that we really have to raise the frequency of humanity, because our vessels are the conduits for that. That's why we're here in this existence and this is happening, and you're attuned to all of this energy and your abilities are being awakened, being awoken and all of that, because we're being upgraded on a molecular level. This is the ascension process, the flip. And so when we realize that, like, whoa, that old human paradigm is over, it's like, okay, let me start creating the new. Because the old paradigm has to fall away and change and evolve. And we're here to assist within that. And so, while it may look like there's a lot of destruction, there's a lot of crazy things going on, in the media with, who knows what, turn that off. If it's causing you to feel bad 3 hours later when you're at work sitting on the toilet, thinking about nothing, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about all that stuff that you watched on the news, and then you leave the bathroom and you think you're okay, but then you sit down at your desk and you just don't feel good and you don't know why. That's more of that subconscious mind programming I'm talking about that happens that we don't realize. Like, if you're in a relationship or a marriage or a business partnership with someone and, it leaves you not feeling good on a daily basis, like, why continue that? It doesn't mean you have to get out of it. It just means, like, why continue that same flow? Because like I was saying, like, humans, we don't have to do anything we don't want to. And when we recognize that we don't have to stay in a position with anyone or anything just because, we don't know what we're going to do next, or some fear. Like, when I decided I was not going to be afraid of humans anymore, everything changed, because you take your power back. Like, seriously, what are you scared of? Like, that's what I ask myself. When I feel anxiety or a feeling of fear, I'm just like, dude, like, what are you scared of? Because I'm not scared of any of you. I'm not scared of myself. I'm not scared of anything out there in the outer world, even though these surges of fear energy will come into my body, and I'm like, oh, let me grab that. Like, why am I fearing that? Why am I feeling that way? Instead of, like, embodying it, I just hold on to it. Like, I embrace it. That's holding on to it. That's the embracing part. Like, I don't have to be in love with it. I embrace it and take a look at it, and not let it absorb my energy flow. And then that way, it's all about mind tricks. Like, the mind is trickery. So come up with tricks for your mind. Like, everybody has their own individual channel. What I do may not work for you, but you can come up with your own way. Like, we don't have to be the victims of our humanistic minds anymore. And we certainly don't have to be the victim of any other human either. Like, seriously. Making peace with the past, letting go of the things that don't make us feel good. Like, why would we be holding on to all of that? I mean, there's really no excuse. Well, but she and he and oh, and nope. That's what I tell myself, Nope, not doing it. And it's been the most empowering thing that I've ever have been activated to do, to remember in this existence, because, I've not always been like that. I've always been a pleaser. Even though I've always had a strong personality and, I could manage restaurants and lead people and do, empower people and do all of this stuff my whole life, I wasn't doing it to myself. Even though I was achieving amazing goals and all of these things in my life, anything I set my mind out to, I've done it. Like, so really, it's just about how high we want to set the bar. Because humans, we're the only ones that hold ourselves back. Like, you don't have a computer? Go to a library. Like, there's just all these things. And I say that to you as I say them to myself, because while I've always been this hugely, motivated, driven person, there's been times in my life when I haven't been. And it's all good. I look back and I realize that those moments were times for me to let my human rest. We go through these stages in our lives for a reason. It's just the human goes, oh, I remember 2 years ago, I wasn't motivated and I was in this slump and not doing anything for myself. Oh, and then we put this guilt onto it. Like, We don't have to do that either. You know, it feels really good to let go of the humanistic programmed ways that we think that we have to be. And we can't expect everyone to do the things that we want them to do either. Humans have this really messed up way of engaging with people, our expectations. We expect people to do the things that we're not doing for ourselves. So then if you're not doing the things that you're asking of other people, why do you expect other people to do those things for you? You know, I mean, really, it's like really taking a step back. I mean, it's amazing. I know, in relationships I've been in and things like that, I was so expectant of, and preaching, for people to be real and honest and, to look at themselves in the mirror, but I wasn't being real and honest with myself. So that's why I wasn't getting it in return. Bits and pieces of it, I've always been this truth seeker my whole life, but now I've stopped seeking the truth because I am the truth. And that's when we stop chasing, because I have come into my truth. And now it's just a balance, a balance of shifting within that truth with other humans and things and energy and the channel and, all of this wonderful and magical stuff that's going on. And so, not every situation is great right now. Not everything feels great right now. There's a lot of change and a lot of people are being pulled to leave jobs and their careers and their loved ones and their thought processes and the attachment to our material things and all of that. Like, when you realize that that is part of this process that you cannot control, this is part of the assisted process of the upgrading that's happening to our vessels. Because we're being upgraded on a molecular level, it's changing the flow of our energetic system, our chakras, whatever you want to call it, the organs in our bodies that are part of our conduit system that assist the channel. Our brains are being rewired. Our DNA is being upgraded literally on a molecular level. So that is automatically changing our thought processes. Automatically. The information that we're being channeled is different now than you've ever heard probably most of your life, even though generally a lot of us have seen, felt, tasted, smelled, all of those things, what's happening now. And it's pretty cool, like the movies are real. And so it's so much more fun just to go, not going to deal with this anymore, meaning we're not going to embody anything that we don't want to. If it feels good, it is good. And if it doesn't, it isn't. It's really that easy. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is learning to trust the mind, because we can't control the mind. Like, we're not in control. We're here to listen, engage, and shift. We're receivers of information. And so when we recognize that, we need to move out all that human stuff, like literally, like the way I do it, is I visualize me like opening up like the curtain at the movie theater, the red velvet curtain, and I peek through and I'm like, oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. And I literally like jump out and I leave all that stuff. Like I call it mind dumping. I dump the mind, because all of this magic and all this fun and love and the connectedness to the ether, the awareness of other beings and guides and energy, and picking up on all the signals and signs that I see to predict around me all the time. Like, life has become a bubble of magic. It's like Fantasia. And so that is my motivation every day, to just be like so done with the humanistic attachment. And I have to tell you too, it's really important to remember that when we go through this process, not all humans are at the level that you are. So as you're awakening and you're evolving in your truth and you're seeing how easy it is to transcend, and it's just, your life is so much happier and lighter. You're going to encounter humans still that most have not been activated yet. And they may not be, I don't know. Not everyone is going to be activated in this existence because people pass. Like, it's part of their karmic cycle. They get to come back. We all get to come back. And so when we recognize that we're going to encounter a lot of people that don't understand the things that we're talking about, that don't understand what love feels either. Love makes people uncomfortable. We have to choose how to use our energy when we engage with other people. And so for me, I'm not about going out in the streets and trying to preach the word of ascension. I'm not trying to go out and tell people that there are other beings and we all are ETs and we're being upgraded. Like, I don't walk around like telling that to a bunch of people because I don't have the energy for that. So if someone brings it up, I always wait for the door to be open. Like, when you're vibrating at such a high frequency and you're your authentic self, when you go out in public, people probably stare at you a lot. That's probably why you feel so much anxiety when you go into stores, because your frequency is so high. Everyone's just automatically attracted to your energy. We are beacons, so and then allow myself how open I want to be, how much of their energy I want to absorb. And when we're quiet, and if we're not thinking to engage, we can step back and read that energy of someone. And we don't have to be open. And that's how we really learn to engage with other people. That's how we learn the power of our influence, is by not always being open to everyone we meet. And that means, like, for me, I've automatically been programmed to lose the attachment really quick. When I step away from someone, my own thought processes, like, literally, I can be upset or like purging some energy over something, and then literally a couple of minutes later, it's gone. And that takes practice. I mean, see, that's the thing. Also, when we are learning these new techniques of our mind, we have to just put in a little bit of effort. Like, at first, it seems like a lot. It seems like we're constantly practicing, like, being more mindful in so many different ways, because we are. But the evolvement happens so fast that we spend more time worrying about the process of becoming happy subconsciously, that we waste so much time. Like, it literally takes nanoseconds of space, to be able to come full circle back to that place of peace. It's just all about learning thought processes. Rewiring the brain. And we do that by getting quiet. Like, if you want to start activating more, like, if you see a lot of people talking about, there's no sound. Okay, well, since there's no sound, can anyone hear me? Okay, well, I'm going to let you go. I'm not sure that the sound is working, but anyway, regardless, I appreciate you all very much, and I appreciate being able to share myself with you and that you share yourself with me. I love you to the moon, family. Oh, portal work. So this is heart chakra activation. So if you want this, just tell your guardians, your guides, your avatars that you're open to receive. I was just about to get off, but then I went into doing some portal work with you, some casting. So this is portal work on the heart chakra. Okay, it keeps cutting out, but okay, so if you're just tuning in, I was getting ready to get off of the video, and then you know, other source had other plans, and the casting is taking place. It's the heart chakra portal activation. And so if you want it in your mind, you just have to let your avatar, your guardians or guides know that you're open to receive. That's it. So part of my program is I cast activation energy. And that means yes. I cast for the collective, I cast for myself individually, and you know, a lot of ley line energy work. That's the crown. She likes to throw that up, or we, I guess. And so these are involuntary movements. I'm not, you know, I'm not doing it myself. It just happens, you know, like. And so portal work is anytime I hold my left hand up with the magic symbol, and it's always like a circular movement with my right hand. And today it's on the heart chakra. It has been on the solar plexus for the last like 3 weeks, but today looks like we're doing heart chakra activation. And so this is like giving cleansing magic, almost like saging. And I don't know what all the hand symbols mean yet, but I'm learning more and more as I go. Some more portal work. So in your mind, think about your heart and think about sending energy there to activate it, to open it up, to connect the heart space with the energy of activation. And allow yourself the activation to take place. The heart chakra color is green. So imagine green light, you know, the visuals activate. The human mind is the power source of creation. So use it wisely. And if any of you recognize any of the symbols I throw up, please feel free to share any information with me, because, I don't know what they all mean. And, I'm learning as I go, but I know it's, obviously very ancient. And, this means yes, I know that. And this is like cleansing. After I do healing work, or we do healing work, it's like I always get cleansed, and this is part of the process. So this lets me know that the casting is over. And so, I don't have to cleanse myself with anything, whenever I'm done, doing energy work, because the source does it for me. And same thing with you. It's just mindfulness. We don't need sage or crystals or anything like that. Those are just amplification tools. All the human needs is its own energy, its mind, and thought projection. Throat chakra. And so, okay. Okay, so I'm going to pause the casting, because it's really over. It just goes on for a little while sometimes, but I can stop it, if I want, most of the time, because it really charges my body. It's a lot of energy, like, it's intense. And so I want to talk to you a little bit really quickly about energy work, because, we can receive. We can be open to receive and send energy at any time. So, but like I talk about, that's thought projection. And so, what you send out, you get back 3 times. So thought projection is a big thing, which is energy projection, which is energy work. So I think most of you know that I don't come from a malicious light. And I am stepping outside of the box, sharing more of these casting activations with you, because that's what I'm here to do. And, but you don't have to receive it if you don't want it. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, we don't have to take on any energy that we don't want to. Now, just by watching this, there's some energy work that's being done, but we can be open to receive as much of it as we want, because it's all thought process, which is energy. And so when there's this energy work going on, even though I'm not in front of you, it still works. And many of you know that are doing energy work and that are connecting with people that do. You feel these heart chakra tight, pulls, and you're feeling the energy just by talking with someone through the phone. So, there's a big, and so, if you are an energy worker, and which is whether you're sharing posts online or you're doing Reiki, or, I don't even know the names of what I've got going on with me. It's important to have responsibility, what I call magic responsibility. Because as I'm doing these activation casts for you, every time I'm doing one now, I'm telling you that when you have energy work done, and when you do energy work, because you're receiving that energy back, it's going to activate to a higher place of frequency, which is what I was talking about earlier in the video about the chakra alignments, which are just the organs, the energetic organs in the body, which is our conduit makeup. That's going to activate the psyche as well. It activates the mind and it stimulates the neurotransmitters. So the thought processes of purging, energy purging, speeds up. So when I do these activation casts, or I do energy work with people, I open chakras and things like that. I always make sure that I'm mindful to tell them, like, energetic activations are going to speed up, but so is the mind purging, the mind evolvement. So it's important to be mindful that there's going to be a thought shift, a feeling shift, an energy shift in the way that you've been performing, because, energy work is real. And I've been doing this energy, stuff or whatever since, I call possessed. It's taken me 10 months to feel comfortable enough, and sound enough in my responsibility with this to start stepping out and talking more and more about it. I have been over the last few months, and it's helped me align with some people that are understanding this also. But, I feel I'm always responsible when I share things. I give myself time to evolve.